Hello, my smod friends. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of the heaviest proto-metal albums of 1970. Now, as you may or may not remember, Black Sabbath put out two albums in 1970. They're self-titled and Paranoid. So 1970 was a big year for heavy metal. It was pretty much the birth of heavy metal. And this album was recorded pretty much at the exact same time as the self-titled Black Sabbath album. So these guys were one of the birthers of heavy metal that I'm going to talk about today. And this album is, I mean, compared to Black Sabbath, it's like completely underrated. And it's not one that very many people know compared to what they should, considering its impact on heavy metal. But the group was only around for 4 years, so they were one of those many bands from the early 70s that they just couldn't stay together usually due to management and record label problems. But this band, they recorded this album in 1969, pretty much at the exact same time as Black Sabbath's self-titled album. So it's one of the heaviest albums released in 1970, and it helped birth heavy metal. If you don't know it, you should know it, so let's talk about it today. The album in question is, if you can even see this, whoa. This is called Yesterday's Children. Sorry that the glare is so bad. Yesterday's Children. It's their self-titled album. So this was recorded in 1969, released in late 1970, and it is an absolute scorching album. I tell you that right now. So let's talk about this album. I'm going to go ahead and do a run-through of it, talking about the band, the album, reading a review I wrote on Facebook in my group a while back, and just doing a little review of the album. I'm very familiar. I've had this album for 5 years at least, and yeah, it's a good one. It's right up there with Sir Lord Baltimore's Kingdom Come album, which was also released in 1970. 1970 was off the charts. I mean, when I think about just the fact that it was so early and the quality of these proto-heavy metal albums, they were super heavy. I mean, no one had heard heavy stuff like this before. 1970 was just, I mean, to have lived through that. I was born 2 decades too late. Actually, I was born 4 decades too late. I was born in the 90s, so let's talk about Yesterday's Children, shall we? Yes, let's talk. Enjoy. All right, let's get started. Yesterday's Children. Now, these guys were formed in 1966 in Connecticut, right outside of New Haven. They only lasted 5 years, and they were already broken up by the end of 1970. But before breaking up, they released one of the earliest heavy proto-metal albums, psychedelic proto-metal albums. One of the heaviest of the year, and of up to that point. I mean, other than Black Sabbath, basically other than Black Sabbath, I mean, nothing else had come out that was quite this heavy by this time. I mean, Sir Lord Baltimore was probably even heavier, but Kingdom Come came out, I believe, a month after this album came out. Yesterday's Children's self-titled album was released in 1970, and this album was absolutely ferocious. It's like, I don't know, it's like Bon Scott, basically, of AC/DC, or Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin. Got behind the microphone and fronted the most ferocious psych proto band you could find. It's got like fuzz double guitars, and so it's got like even double the guitar playing on it. So the riffs are just absolutely monstrous on this album, and it's very garage style in the recording department. Sounds a lot like a very raw recording. This album is one of my favorites from 1970. Definitely one of the bluesiest proto-psych metal albums you'll find. And Dennis Croce on vocals, boy, he just lets it rip. And his brother Richard Croce is another member on rhythm guitar. So you have the brothers in this band. Dennis Croce just absolutely nails the vocals on this album. I want to point out several songs in particular. She's Easy, track number 4, 6.5 minutes long. This one goes insane. It really starts off fast, and then it kind of slows down, and then it just explodes again at the end. So it's one of those songs that kind of goes up and then down and then up again, explodes with passion. I like these songs that have both the intensity and the fast pace, kick-ass rockin', but also have the slower parts, the atmospheric psych parts. And this song has it both, and the vocal work on this song is crazy. Sailing is the next track, track 5, the longest track on the album at 7.5 minutes long. Sailing is a pretty mellow build-up type of song, not as much on the fast-paced rockin'. Sailing is just a beautiful song, so if you like those slower, brooding songs that aren't quite as balls to the walls, Sailing is a fantastic track for you. Then it ends with Hunter's Moon. That's the third song I'd like to highlight. Hunter's Moon is 6 minutes long, and boy, that song is probably the heaviest song on the record, and you got to hear that one. I mean, if you listen to one song, listen to Hunter's Moon. It's very dark. It's the darkest song on the album, and boy, that one is the closest they get to being early proto-doom on the album. Hunter's Moon really blew my mind. You just got to hear that one to believe it. Vocal work is absolutely spectacular. The guitar playing is really majestic and friggin', I don't know, it just puts you in this trance-like state at times. I'm going to go ahead and read this review that I wrote in my Facebook group 3 years ago about the album. It says, "Now this is one hidden gem if there ever was one. This is where being in SMOD really pays dividends. Yesterday's Children is the band, and they released this self-titled debut back in 1970. Found it on YouTube a few years back, and I finally tracked down the CD. It's in my stereo this week, and my ears won't stop thanking me for being blessed to be on this head. What you find here is delicious blues-infused proto-metal with scathing vocals. The singer sounds like Bon Scott if he was fronting a stoner rock band. The guitar is infectious, and the drummer is an absolute machine. Bands this good were all over the place in 1970, but few made it beyond the basement underground. Tracking down the gold nuggets of yesteryear never ceases to be one of the most rewarding things in this life. I'm thankful to have this platform to share them with you as well. There is a whole playlist with this stuff on the channel to bite into, the very foundation of stoner right here. Favorite tracks are Sad Born Loser, She's Easy, Sailing, and Hunter's Moon. So that's about it for this video. Thanks for listening. Go check out Yesterday's Children, one of the earliest and heaviest ass-kicking metal albums, right up there with Black Sabbath. Thanks for watching, and I sure hope you enjoy Yesterday's Children as much as I do. Remember that if you appreciate this channel and all the work I put into it, I do have a Patreon account, and I do have a pretty neat perk. If you sign up on Patreon, I will send you the Ultimate SMOD Upload List that has 2,000 albums on it that were uploaded between the start of the channel in 2013 and all the way through 2020. It doesn't have the most recent uploads from the last few years on it, but it's got a lot of the stuff that was cleared out 3 years ago. I had to delete a lot of the stuff on the channel just for safety, and that's was all screenshotted, so I have a list I put together of all those albums in one document, and it's in alphabetical order with Bandcamp links to every single album. So, it's all alphabeticalized by artist name, and it's very easy. It's like the ultimate index for all the great stoner rock albums that used to be on the channel 5 to 10 years ago. And I uploaded 2,000 albums, so you don't have to worry about how much you pledge. Anybody who signs up on Patreon will get that. I just need your email, and I can send you the document. It's a very handy document, and it took me a long time to put it together. So if you appreciate SMOD, and if you've gotten some value out of this channel, which I hope you have, please consider signing up on Patreon for just a little while, and you'll get some pretty cool perks. You also get the next upload that I'm going to put up ahead of everybody else. So I just wanted to say that the Patreon is there, and I'll send a link put a link in the description. So thanks for watching, Dumon, and I will talk to you soon.